So I hear there's a huge hurricane coming our way. What should I do to prepare?
Well, sir, here's our complimentary hurricane survival kit. A bottle of water and a roll of duct tape.
What am I supposed to do with this? Wrap myself up in it and hope for the best?
Do you live, eat, and sleep the hotel industry? Looking to brush up on your game? You've come to the right place. Welcome to No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast, with your host, Glenn Hausman.
Hey everybody, and welcome to No Vacancy. This is Glenn Hausman, your intrepid host, and I'm so delighted that you are here today. Before we get started, I want to do a special shout out to all of my friends in the Southeast United States, specifically Florida, Atlanta, South Carolina, North Carolina. I hope you are doing well during this hurricane, and I wish everybody the best of luck and that you are safe. As a hurricane survivor myself, I've had a few close instances. I know what it's like, and I know how scary it can be. And that's the thing with weather. You know, you don't think it's going to be a big deal until all of a sudden you hit, and then you see that power of Mother Nature, how absolutely frightening it can be, and how real it all suddenly becomes. So, again, I hope you're all bundled up. And looking at my social media feed, I think a lot of you are safe now. And at least you have plenty of wine in stock. Lots of folks focusing on that. Today I have with me Mr. Jeff Polly, my executive producer, to share today's show. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you? Fortunately, I live in Colorado and not Florida anymore, so I don't have to necessarily deal with hurricanes. We just have a super volcano to the north of us to worry about. So apparently that can blow at any moment.
I am worried about the super volcano. I've seen some of those Discovery Channel shows, and if it blows, it's going to pretty much take out that entire part of the United States with it and put us folks in the rest of the world in a deep, dark nuclear type winter. So I hope that doesn't happen anytime soon. That would suck.
Yeah, I'm kind of crossing my fingers that it doesn't come anytime in my lifetime anyways.
But, speaking of weather, you already had 4 inches of snow this week up in the mountains of Colorado. How crazy is that?
We did. It's, gearing up for ski season, which, us here in Colorado, we're super stoked about. We're ready to go and waxing up the boards and the skis and waiting for our mid-November ski season openings for all the resorts.
Yeah, that's going to be great. We're going to talk all about skiing on today's show, but before I do that, I got to do a couple of shameless plugs. Make sure you read my column twice a week at hotelmanagement.net and follow me at Traveling Glenn on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll let you know when new podcasts are posted, when we have new articles that are going up, and you can follow Jeff. You can drop him an email at jeff@endpoint Multimedia for all of your awesome production needs. If you've been listening to the show, then you know what a great producer he is. In fact, he came up with this idea today for ski resorts for families and all of the skiing stuff because, honestly, I'm a Jew from Long Island. What the heck do I know about skiing, right, Jeff?
Well, but I think that's exactly, why we're having this show. I live in Colorado, lived here for 10 years. I'm fully entrenched in the ski lifestyle. It's one of the reasons why I live in this great state. And one of the things that I get all the time from people that don't necessarily live here, or like you, they don't know where to go. They want to take a vacation with their family, but there's so many choices and so many options, and some are more catered towards, extreme skiers or singles or things like that. And then some are really catered towards family. So I figured we could go over a little bit of both and talk about families, and then go do another little bit of a list on where some of my dream locations would be, where we can, shred the gnar, as we call it.
Yes, I like that, and I like the idea of talking to families, because I have a feeling if I was to get back into skiing, which I have banned myself for life from, because I'm really afraid I'm going to do go a little Sonny Bono if I do that. Wait, too soon there, Jeff, on that comment?
No, I don't think it's too soon. I think we still all kind of joke about it. Now, if you would have brought up Liam Neeson's wife, that might have been a little too soon.
That one was a little bit more same kind of situation, but you can't laugh about that one for some reason. But I guess Sonny Bono was such a good punchline for so many years that he lives on in death as a great punchline too.
Right. And, some of these resorts on this list are perfect for you, maybe. I know you have younger boys getting in their teen years that might want to get a little bit more active. And some of these resorts are, you could take them there, set them out on the mountain in a lesson or so, and you can après ski in the lodge to your heart's desire.
I love that idea, Jeff Polly. I think we're on the same page there because my kids would enjoy doing some sort of skiing, and I really should man up and take them to a resort at some time this winter. So, Jeff, where am I going to go? I'm on an island over here. We're not known for our mountains.
Okay, so, Summit County, Colorado is one of the busiest ski locations in the world. Not just the United States. And we see it all the time with our Colorado traffic getting out to the mountains. There's one great resort in Summit County that I think is super catered towards families, and that's Beaver Creek Resort. And
I've heard of that one.
Yeah, it's a high-end one. It's really nice, really fancy. It's actually owned by Vail Resorts, and they do an incredible job with Beaver Creek. Hot chocolate on the mountaintop when you get off the ski lift.
That's fun.
Yeah. Afternoon warm chocolate chip cookies waiting for you, like when you're done with the ride. All that kind of thing. There's tons of shopping. There's sleigh riding. There's skating rinks. There's everything associated for kind of a family vacation. I think it's a really great place to go if you're not too concerned about budget, because it is a pretty pricey resort.
So in my fantasy world, I would not be concerned about budget at all. Sounds great, especially the hot chocolate again.
Yeah, exactly. And I've been there myself. I've ridden it plenty of times. There's terrain for everybody from the beginner all the way up to the advanced rider or skier. And what's really great about places like this that are devoted to the families is, and we'll mention it again, but their ski lessons and the programs that they have for the children are unbelievable, to the point where, you can get a half-day lesson for your kids, which amounts to about 4 hours, and then you can go and the kids get into the lesson, and you and whoever you're else with can go off and do your adult runs while the kids are learning in a fun environment with other kids.
I love it. And I think that's going to be totally different than the experience I would have if I go with my kids, especially if I decide to take a lesson too. I have visions of me being face down in the snow with 4-year-olds without ski poles just going past me. Very, very happy. So, good for the kids. Bad for me. Are the lessons really difficult? Are they for all skill levels, Jeff, at these resorts?
Lessons are offered for everybody. And I highly, I've seen it a million times where people have come out and they come out, especially out west, when our terrain is a lot steeper and a lot bigger than what they're used to. And they'll come out and they'll just be miserable, and they'll go through 2 or 3 days of falling and trying to learn and everything. And by the 3rd or 4th day, depending on how long you're out there, sometimes you're too tired or too sore because of all the falls you've taken, or, it's the other way around, and you've gained the skills and you're having a great day on the 3rd day, and you're wishing that you could have the same days on the 1st and 2nd. Well, a lesson is a great way to do that. Whether you're 60 and getting back into skiing, or you've got a 4-year-old, you can pop them in a lesson, and these pros are trained to help you out whatever skill level you need.
That's excellent. So, all right. So I'm going to take a ski lesson. I'm going to do it with my kids, but I don't have that much money to go to where you're recommending. Where else can I take them?
Okay. Well, this is for East Coasters. This next
right.
one. And that's Stowe Mountain Resort in Stowe, Vermont.
Yep, I know that.
Yeah, tons of snow, tons of great terrain, lots of family type things. The Ben & Jerry's factory is right near it, offers tours and tastings. You can do cross country skiing. You can really get that whole mountain vacation while staying on the East Coast.
That's excellent. I heard nothing that you said after Ben and Jerry's, quite frankly, because I started thinking about going there myself, and I've been to the Ben and Jerry's factory tour, and not associated with skiing. But boy, oh boy, is that a fun place to go. You can actually see how the ice cream is made and then go and get some tastings of all of their traditional favorites and all the special flavors that they have too. Maybe Jeff, you're a pro. You could probably eat some Ben & Jerry's while skiing down the hill without any poles.
I've never skied in Vermont or the northeastern United States, and I would say Stone Mountain would be my top pick to go out there and try it out, just so I can visit that Ben & Jerry's tour.
Now, growing up here in New York, there were obviously skiers. Even though I'm from Long Island, I joke about how we're an island so people don't ski. But people would go up to New Hampshire, Vermont, upstate New York and go skiing. But I always heard that the skiing is kind of cruddy when compared to what you see out in your neck of the woods, out in Colorado and Utah and those kind of areas. Where do you come down on that?
It's much different. Like I mentioned before, out west, our mountains are, getting into the geology side of it. Our mountains are much newer, so they're maybe 4 million years old as opposed to 8 million years old, like the mountains over on the East Coast. So they're sharper, they're steeper, they're more rugged than East Coast. So there's some amazing terrain over on the East Coast, but and we'll get a little bit into it more when we start talking about the harder core mountains and the less family oriented mountains. But over here on the West Coast, there's terrain for everybody, but there's a lot more terrain for people like me that like to live on the edge a little bit.
Yeah, you certainly do. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But before we move on to that part of it, any other family resorts that you'd recommend?
Sure. Let's go to the West Coast now. North Star California Resort in Lake Tahoe. And, the Tahoe Value Pass, if you're over in California, offers access to 3 resorts for the season. And what a great, value bargain. If you have a family, you can spend, probably $500 or so on a season pass if you like to do this, over and over and over again. And the Tahoe Value Pass offers you access to Heavenly, Kirkwood, and North Star. So you don't have to stay at one resort and all that. You can take multiple trips in the year and multiple weekend stuff and get out there. But North Star is, out of those 3, I think, more rounded towards the family. They've got great, lessons and everything. They have tubing on a hill. They have bungee trampolines.
Oh.
They have moonlight snow tours. And for you, Glenn, if you don't want to ski, they have big time après ski activities such as build your own s'mores cookouts.
Well, we did a lot of s'mores cookouts here at home. I became such an expert over making them this summer. We got my kids actually did a s'mores factory, and instead of selling lemonade out in front of the house, they sold s'mores. Unfortunately, they only sold them to me, so I had to pay for the s'more ingredients and then buy them back from myself. So that didn't work out too well.
That's not a very good business plan, Glenn.
No, it worked out great for them. Not so much for me. If you do want that Tahoe Value Pass, an adult's only $459 for the entire season, which is pretty great. And that pays for itself in just 3 days of skiing throughout the year. So to me, that seems like a pretty good deal there, Jeff.
Yeah, and that's one thing to look out when you are skiing, especially if you're going on destination stuff. Colorado has several different passes out here, and you can literally, and I've known people that have done this. If let's say you're on a business trip in Denver, in August, September, October, and you know that you want to come out here for several days, one of the best ways to do that is to come out to Denver, buy your pass before the season starts, and you can buy, I'm just going to throw it out there, the Rocky Mountain Super Pass, which includes Winter Park and Copper Mountain and a few days at another couple of different resorts. I think it's right around that price, right around $450. Well, a day pass, a day lift ticket for most of these resorts is about $150 to $175. So within 3 days, you've saved money. If you come out here for a 4-day ski season, you're saving $200 just on getting that pass. And everybody offers them. Every location offers them. You know, Utah has their own. Tahoe has their own. Colorado, obviously, and then Vail Resorts, who we all know is kind of everywhere. They offer an amazing pass called the Epic Pass, which gives you an opportunity to not only ski in your local area, but gives you access to resorts all over the world. Basically, I know that they're looking at, or I believe maybe this year they've added Whistler Blackcomb as one of their areas that you can ski on that pass. And then there's areas in Tahoe, there's areas in Utah and Colorado, and I believe they even have, you know, access to areas in as far south as Chile. So if you're that kind of skier, the Epic Pass is something to certainly consider as well.
That is really an interesting idea, both from the skiing company perspective and from the customer perspective. If I was really into it, I think I would love that. Like, I could see myself doing a worldwide roller coaster theme park pass or something like that, and then taking the family to a lot of different parks. But for skiers, how excellent is that? And speaking, you were talking about families, and you mentioned the tubing on there. That is something else that I could totally see myself getting into, is going down the slopes on the tubes. That is a lot of fun. Have you ever done that one?
I have. Copper Mountain here in Colorado has a great tubing hill, and it's super, super fun, super, fun way, especially for a family. You can, get everybody, the entire family on the same hill and slide down on a tube.
Yeah. Camelback in Pennsylvania has that at the resort. Plus, they have an indoor water park that opened up a couple of years ago. Maybe this winter I'll take my kids to do that. I think that'd be a ton of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've covered the West Coast. We've covered the kind of center in Colorado, at least. I think we'll get into Utah here in a second. We've covered the East Coast. This one is pretty remote, but it is one of my favorites that I've ever been to, and it's pretty amazing. This is Big Sky Resort in Big Sky, Montana.
Ooh.
And it is absolutely amazing. I mean, you're right in the backcountry of Yellowstone Park. It's the views and the landscape is just breathtaking. It's one of my favorite locations on earth to go to, and I wish I could get up there a little bit more. Even
that's saying something for a guy that lives in a mountain paradise already.
They have tons of family activities as well. One of the coolest things and I've seen this, they do dog sledding up there. So it's a super popular activity on the mountain. You can go and ride on dog sleds. They also have
wait, hold on. Dog sleds. That's pretty cool. I got to do dog sleds once, and I got to tell you, it is not as easy as it looks. But I was really thrilled, Jeff, to be able to go and have a chance to do this, because all I wanted to be able to do was go mush, right? Because that's the centerpiece of going ahead and doing these types of things. But I was up in Canada, and my dogs only spoke French, which I thought was really funny. And, of course, in typical Glenn fashion, I couldn't stay on the sled and kept falling off into the snow. Not a very pretty sight. Thank God this was before the internet era.
So your dogs only spoke French. How does bark translate in French?
You'd have to go on y va, which is the French version of mush. Not as great as mush. It's too sophisticated for me, if you ask my opinion.
But it has character to it. So
yes, it really did. And I was up at the Mont Tremblant Resort up in Canada, and if I was a skier, I absolutely would have loved it there. The town itself was gorgeous. I had so much fun up there. I just wish that I knew how to ski.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, without killing myself. I know how to ski. I just don't know how to not fall.
Well, maybe this list will inspire you to get back out there.
All right, so back to Big Sky. Anything else that you want to mention on Big Sky?
Yeah, they have miles and miles, and it's one of the biggest areas I've ever seen of snowmobiling trails. So you can take snowmobile tours into the backcountry at Big Sky, and it's just breathtaking. I know I'm overusing that word with Big Sky, but that's how much I love it.
Yeah.
Family activities, apparently they have daily kids craft sessions, things like that. And one of the great pluses for Big Sky, if you are taking your family on a ski trip, is with lodging, kids under 10 ski free.
Ooh.
And that's a huge bonus, as far as I know, for people with families going on ski vacations.
Yeah, I wish we did this segment 2 years ago, but now I got to pay for my kids.
Yeah, you're going to have to pay a lot more in the years coming up, right?
Well, yeah, I got to pay for those bar mitzvahs next summer, and they keep insisting on growing, and the amount of calories they eat on a day-to-day basis is absolutely amazing. So they're costing me a lot. So let me take this time to say, guys, if you want to sponsor the podcast, send me a note, Glenn@rouse.media, or just send your donations. If you go to the No Vacancy homepage, you could see a section there to donate. Think about me. Take pity on Jeff and myself, because I got food to buy, feed these kids, and Jeff's got bills to pay too. So let us know.
So let's go back to Colorado, and and we've talked about some higher end type stuff and Beaver Creek and all that, and this is one of my favorite mountains in all of Colorado,
right?
And it's more on the cost conscious side,
right?
And the reason being is it's not in that area of Summit County. It's in southern Colorado. It's a little bit further out. If you're flying from out of state, you would probably fly into Denver and then take another flight to Gunnison, Colorado. And the mountain is called Crested Butte Mountain Resort.
Nice. Like the name.
Crested Butte gets unbelievable early season snow. I've had some of my best snow days ever in December or so at Crested Butte. So it can be cold, but you get those great snow days, and it's a tiny little mountain town, more so like what Summit County used to be maybe 20 years ago, and that's what kind of allures me to it, I think. As far as
Excellent.
family,
and Crested Butte is also the name of an endangered bird species, I think.
I did not know that.
I'm just making that up. It sounded good to me. What the hell do I know? I'm learning a lot from politics now, that if I just keep lying about stuff and I get very insistent about it, it'll be true.
That's certainly the way to go, I think, in today's political stage. So family activities, Crested Butte, again, great place to take the family. They've got mini golf. They've got a bungee trampoline. They've got climbing walls. They have horseback riding in the winter. They have snowshoeing. They have guided ski tours. It's also a great place for backcountry skiing if you are getting into that extreme kind of skiing area. We can talk about that a little bit later. But what a great place for a family. It's a small little mountain town, quaint and quiet.
Well, you know what? Before we switch over to the the extreme skiing part of it, this conversation is making me realize that ski resorts aren't really necessarily about skiing, and that I could take my family there and do all of these other activities and not actually strap on skis or a snowboard and probably wind up having the same amount of fun.
Exactly. And that's I think the whole point of these resorts in the last 10, 15 years. They realize that not everybody likes to, ski. Not everybody likes to snowboard. Some people like to do it and love to be in that atmosphere, but they've been injured, so they can't ski or snowboard. They have a bad knee or a bad ankle, or I know we have a good friend that was in a bad motorcycle accident, 10, 15 years ago, and he was never able to ski again and misses it, but he still loves going to the resorts with his family and doing family activities and everything like that, and being around the mountain.
Awesome. I think that's terrific. All right, so let's switch over. Let's go extreme. Let's talk about hardcore ski resorts and what you would do that would never even come into my mind.
Yeah, this is... every one of these is totally accessible for everyone, but to me, this is my list of the bucket list places that I want to go, the places that I've been, that I've loved, because they have the best extreme terrain, the steepest of the steep, the best turns, the best trees, the best forests to get in and out of, and all that. So this isn't necessarily my suggestion to take a family, but it definitely is my suggestion if you're going to go and ski with a couple buddies that are really good. These are the places that you can go and have some super fun.
Right. Go for it. Let's hear one.
Yep. First one is Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Yep.
One of the great ski resorts in the United States. Not only for extreme terrain, but just overall lifestyle at the resort. They've done an incredible job. It's 5-star all the way. It's amazing, beautiful there, beautiful little town, and the mountain itself is just unbelievable. Super steep, super good terrain, lots of canyons and gullies to go down if you're a little adventurous like myself.
And if you're not adventurous like me, you could always check out the Jackson Hole Burger chain here in New York and the Queens area. They make these massive hamburgers, which are absolutely fantastic. So, Jeff, we both like Jackson Hole.
Yeah, Jackson Hole is top on the list for me to when I'm thinking about going out and treading the gnar. I'll use it again. I want to go there, especially since it's so close to me. It's only about a 8-hour drive for me.
Yeah, it sounds real close.
So moving on, Whistler Blackcomb. I've been to Whistler a bunch of times, and Whistler is awesome. It is, the two mountains there are just slam-packed with acreage for you to ride on. I'm looking at the stats right now, and they have 8,171 acres of skiable terrain, which is just about the most in North America. It's unbelievable. The snow that they get is consistent year-round, really good. And again, one of my top places.
What does that mean in terms of the crowds that show up there? And also, how does that affect your ability then to get that fresh powder that I know that you guys crave?
You know, when I've been there, it's never been a problem with getting, crowded or anything like that, because it is so big. And it still is, I would consider it a kind of a unique place to go, and not everybody thinks about it. And I knew that I was going to bring this up in this podcast, and I see it here in Colorado. Everybody that I know that comes to Colorado, they want to go to Vail or they want to go to Breckenridge, and those are great places to ski, and you can have a lot of fun there. But what a lot of people don't realize is there's so many other options that you don't have to necessarily suffer through that crowds. And Whistler Blackcomb, I've never had a problem with a crowd, whereas in places like Vail, I've had 45-minute lift lines.
Ooh, that sounds painful.
Yeah, especially with you only get 8 hours to ski. So if you're waiting in a lift for 45 minutes every hour, it's not necessarily a fun day.
No. Not necessarily a fun day at all. You know what I really like? I like those giant gondolas that everybody has to get into, as opposed to the little lifts that you have to sit on. I always feel like I'm going to fall out on those things, but those big giant gondolas make me feel like I'm in Sweden somewhere.
Well, everybody has to be amused by something, right?
Well, fortunately, I get amused by little things.
So I'm gonna go back to Colorado, and next on the list is just my dreamland of a ski location, and this probably should have made the list for family resorts too, because it's an amazing place. But as far as the extreme terrain, Steamboat Springs Steamboat Resort has unbelievable terrain. It's a great town, and it's one of my favorite places in Colorado. It's the snow in Steamboat is nothing like I've ever felt before in my life. It's the driest, most, and they've dubbed it champagne powder, and that's kind of what it's like. It's so dry. Champagne powder. It's so dry and light. You can pick up a handful of it and blow it out of your hand. And I've never seen anything like that. And it's, again, going back to the town, there's so much to do in Steamboat. There's actually right in town, there's a night slope so you can night ski. And, a lot of Olympians have come from Steamboat. So there's actually, it's one of the few places, I know that there's one in Utah and one over on your coast, upstate New York, but it's got a ski jump, area, so you can see Olympic ski jumpers training from downtown, which is really cool.
Oh, wow.
And one of the coolest things about Steamboat Springs, because just like the name says, Steamboat has a massive collection of hot springs, and some of the coolest hot springs that I've ever been to. So you ride hard all day, whether it's with the family or not, because Steamboat has great lessons and things to do for kids. And then once you're done with that, you go over to the hot springs and get in 104-degree pools and relax and recharge for the next day.
Nice. I love the being really cold outside and then going into the hot tub. Maybe not so much the getting in and out of the hot tub, but I love that hot water and the cold air.
Yeah, to me, it's refreshing. I do it every night when I get home. At my house, it gets pretty cold, and we've got a hot tub sitting about 20 feet outside, and that traveling towards that hot tub can be very brutal some nights. But once you're in it and warming up, it's pretty fantastic. Excellent.
I love it. I love the idea of hot springs. I've never really done the hot springs thing itself, but why is Steamboat called Steamboat and not Hot Springs? Because there's no steamboats up there in the valley.
You're stumping me. I'm not an expert on
all right. So
town names.
You're not a Colorado historian. All right. I don't know why I even brought you on the show today, Jeff. I mean.
I apologize in advance. I should have done a little bit more research, I guess.
Well, maybe if we got more people to sponsor the podcast by giving some donations, then you would have had the opportunity to buy the educational materials you need. So make sure you donate at novacancy.libsyn.com. Okay, Jeff, any other resorts that we need to consider before we wrap this bad boy up?
Yeah, there's tons of areas through the United States, and I'm going to stick with the ones that I know and the ones that I've been to. A lot of people look at Aspen as, where the rich and famous go and all that. What most people really don't realize is Aspen has 4 resorts all right next to each other. And there's 4 different mountains all right next to each other. So, yeah. In February and early March, the town is kind of flooded with celebrities and things like that. But you can really get your extreme on at Snowmass or Highlands or Buttermilk, which are part of the Aspen area, and totally go to town on super, super extreme technical terrain and have a lot of fun out there.
Excellent. Love it. So I think the next move is for me to try to plan a ski vacation, or a not ski vacation for me, but ski for my family. I'm going to totally do that. Maybe not to one of the extreme places, but perhaps for one of the very safe places that you talked about that are geared towards families. So
come on out to Colorado, and I'll give you some tips on how to après ski.
Excellent. And I want everybody to make sure that you go like us on iTunes, please. It is really important I get those 5-star ratings. I got to figure out how to get iTunes to really put us up on that front page for the noteworthy section. So the more guys that you can do that for me, maybe that'll happen. We're already starting to create a movement, but I really want this to get out to everybody that's unaware that this show even exists. Also, I'm looking forward to you sticking around after this break because I get to speak with David Kong, my first big-time CEO on this version of the show. He is going to be introducing the SureStay brand, a white label brand that you're doing. don't be nervous if you don't know what white label brand means. He explains it
find
all,
me
and we're going to be
on,
talking with
all the
him
normal social
just
media
after this.
for
Thanks for
Endpoint
listening. Send your
Multimedia,
comments to
and
Glenn,
then,
Glenn,
Jeff
at rouse.media. Again, like us on iTunes.
Jeff
Follow me
endpointmultimedia.com,
at Traveling Glenn. And Jeff, how can they
the
find you?
website's endpointmultimedia.com. Yep.
Excellent. Well, thanks all for listening, and we'll be right back after this.
Have a question for your host, Glenn? Tweet him now at Traveling Glenn. No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast. We'll be right back.
Get a $50 Best Western gift card when you stay 2 separate times. Plus, enjoy breakfast and free high-speed internet. Rewards members get even more when you book direct at bestwestern.com. Visit bestwestern.com for terms and conditions. Each Best Western branded hotel is independently owned and operated.
So, looking forward to learning all about what's going on here today, because I was in Phoenix this week, and a brand new company is being formed out of Best Western. I shouldn't really say company, but it's 3 new brands, but I say new company because it's kind of a little different. It's kind of a little strange. It's kind of a little unusual, something we haven't seen here in the hospitality industry. But I got to tell you, I am so fortunate, so lucky to have with us the president and CEO of Best Western Hotels and Resorts, Mr. David Kong, on the phone with me to demystify everything that's going on. How are you, sir?
Doing well. How are you, Glenn?
I'm doing great because, I'm excited today because you folks are embarking on something new, and like I just said, that hasn't really been done before in the hospitality industry. You've revealed SureStay Hotels, what you're calling a white label brand, and I find it interesting. I'm intrigued, and I want to learn all about it from you. So tell me a little bit about what SureStay is, firstly.
Well, at the lodging conference, we made a very bold announcement that Best Western is pursuing a subsidiary, forming a franchise company, but it's a white label to do franchising, but as a white label.
That's interesting.
Meaning that it doesn't, from the consumer standpoint, they wouldn't know that it has anything to do with Best Western. However, these brands will be able to tap into Best Western's award-winning revenue engines, our very well respected sales and marketing team, and also the tremendous resources that Best Western have always been known for.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be called SureStay Hotels, and there's going to be 3 brands within this umbrella. The SureStay Hotel, which will be more economy-focused, SureStay Plus Hotel, which is going to fit more in that lower mid-scale category, and then the SureStay Signature Collection, which is a mid-scale soft brand. So you're really hitting it on all the different areas there, David, and I find that really fascinating. What made you go down the path to create something so separate and different from what you've been working at since you've been president and CEO of Best Western?
Well, the reality is the lower mid-scale and economy segments present huge potential. There are a total of 17,000 branded hotels and 12,000 unbranded hotels in these segments, so it's a huge market potential. And up to this point, Best Western have been hesitant to get involved in these segments because although we see it as a great opportunity and a great way to increase our distribution and ramp up our scale and derive a new source of income, we are very concerned about what it would do to our brand reputation, our brand image, and just in general how people think about Best Western, because we're talking about a different price point and possibly different clientele than what people are used to with Best Western. So
yeah,
we came up with this.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we came up with this white label idea. As an example, the cough medicine that you buy at a drugstore that's a store brand is possibly made by Vicks, but Vicks doesn't put its label on it. They sell it as a white label store brand, and Vicks get to leverage their infrastructure, their expertise, their distribution. So for a very small cost, they can provide a new product and tap into a whole new customer base and derive a tremendous income stream for them. So that's the whole concept of white label, which is a really win-win-win situation. So we look at that idea and we thought, well, this can be applied to the hotel industry. if we think that's such the two segments that I talked about is such a great potential and has such great benefits, and we're concerned about what we're concerned about, then the white label basically gives us the best of both worlds.
That's really a fascinating idea to me, because I remember when you first came on board Best Western, it was just the single Best Western hotel brand. And, with the eclectic nature of the organization at the time, it was hard to tell what the differences were. So you went ahead and you created the Best Western, the Plus, the Premier, and some other brands as well on top of that. So this is a way for you to get to hotels that you don't feel necessarily should have that Best Western moniker, but opens you up to what you said, 29,000 more opportunities for you to build brands and bring it into the company.
That's right, and by doing that, we are actually becoming even more valuable. For example, to our worldwide sales clients that are looking for, because there are different travelers that go to different locations and they want different price points, and so this opens up a whole new opportunity for us to service this clientele better. It also rounds out our offering. So, up to this point, Best Western, through its BW Premier collection, can tap into the upscale, and then we have the Best Western Premier that taps into the upscale, and then you have all the other brands that are upper mid-scale and mid-scale. And we're in the boutique segments with Glow and Vibe, and we're in the extended stay with the executive residency. So up to this point, we're 7 brands that offers pretty good breadth of offering in the hotel industry. But now with these 3 SureStay brands, we can tap into the lower mid-scale and upper economy as well.
And I like on the approach that you're taking. And while this is going to be more of a traditionally franchised product, and I know Best Western is a membership-based organization, and for our Road Warrior listeners out there that might not have the hotel experience, there is a variation in there. Membership organization means that you have a much more of a say in the direction of the company, and the terms aren't nearly as long. And this franchising that you're going to be doing, I understand it's going to be for 15-year terms, is a little bit more formal, but at the same time, adheres to a lot of those fair franchising principles that are going to make this very appealing to the brand. But David, one of the things I like most is you're not basing this on having to have a PIP in order to get involved, and that's a property improvement plan. It's more of if you have the right score and TripAdvisor idea, then, hey, you're good to go. I find what made you think of doing that?
Well, the hotels and the brands and hotels in the 2 segments that we are talking about really don't offer a lot of leadership. There are very few brands that have any kind of consumer relevance or even consumer awareness for that matter. So there's no brand that really stands out. So how we want to differentiate the SureStay brands is through superior customer care. It's really at that price point, not through the product experience. So the PIP becomes almost irrelevant if a hotel is scoring high in TripAdvisor. So the minimum score that a hotel needs to achieve to even qualify to be a SureStay is 3.5 in TripAdvisor. And they have to maintain that score throughout the term of the agreement. And that's a good way for us to protect the customer care aspect. And then on top of it, we are also going to be doing an announced inspection, as well as requiring the hotels to provide a service promise. So if anything goes wrong at the hotel is going to make it right. So through all these different efforts, we're trying to differentiate the SureStay hotels through the lines of superior customer care and not the product experience.
And that's something that's been the cornerstone of the entire Best Western organization for many years now. And I like that you're bringing it over here. And quite frankly, I love that you're not really worried about that being a particular lamp or that a particular type of sheet. It's more about how the customer feels, which I think is really more on trend with how customers are looking to stay in a hotel these days anyway.
Yeah, but this is not to say, not having a PIP is not to say we won't have some brand standards. There are certain things that the travelers really value, even in that segment. There are things like the high-speed internet connection. There are things like breakfast, or size of the TV. So those few things that the travelers really value, we are definitely going to have some brand standards around them.
Well, I would also argue that you would need that because guests need those things to be the way that they are. Otherwise, you're not going to have that 3.5 rating anyway on TripAdvisor, which would make it a moot point for them even being a part of the brand.
That's absolutely correct, and it further strengthens the superior customer care proposition that we're talking about.
One other thing I really like about SureStay is the logo. I know we had talked about this personally the other day, but there's something about it that makes it seem familiar, folksy, like it's always been a part of my life, and it's so strange that I only met the logo this past week.
Well, we spent a lot of time and effort on making sure the logo is going to work. We don't want to come across as being stuffy and too snobbish, and we want it to be friendly and familiar. So I'm glad that you like it. It uses the primary colors, which will make it stand out from a distance, and also at night when it's lit. It's very noticeable. So we've gone through several iterations, done a lot of testing. We had signs made. So these logos are really very well done. I'm glad that you like it.
Yeah, I do. It just feels good to me. It's just like, it feels very friendly, warm, and accommodating. And even though we're in a digital age, I think that curb appeal is still so critical. And if you're driving by there, it just says to me that it's going to be a positive stay experience. And I know that's the goal of obviously, of you and every hotelier out there.
That's right. Absolutely.
So I want to talk a little bit about what else is going on within the company. In the last couple of years, you've been launching new brands. Last year it was Glow. The year before that it was Vibe, and those are starting to take off. And you had 3 simultaneous groundbreakings on the Glow brand. Maybe you could share with us a little bit more about what's going on with that brand, and tell our listeners who might not be familiar with it, what's the essence of the Glow brand?
Yeah, the launch of the Executive Residency, Vibe, and Glow are all efforts to broaden our appeal to today's travelers. Today's travelers want choices. They don't want a cookie-cutter experience. So these brands all have very unusual, unique signature items to them. For example, Vibe gives you a very vibrant, exciting feel when you walk in. It uses colors of red and black and gold, and just very, very vibrant and stunning. And Glow, on the other hand, has much more much friendlier colors like blue and yellow and the like. And the designs are all meant to be striking and memorable. For example, Glow has an exterior wall that lights up at night, provides a soft glow that acts as a beacon to call on the weary travelers looking for a good night's sleep. And that stunning exterior wall that's lit by LED lighting extends all the way into the lobby and forms this dramatic backdrop for the front desk. And there are a lot of other signature items for both Vibe and Glow. And really excited about how these brands are ramping up. Vibe, we have 8 signed domestically and several that have broken ground internationally. We have some in Bangkok that's already broken ground. We have one in Seoul that's broken ground, and the one in Turkey is going to open probably in the next 60 days. And for Glow, we have already signed 13 contracts, and there are 3 that have broken ground on the same day. So, and we have a very strong pipeline, a lot of interest for both of these brands, and so we're very excited. And
wonderful.
I think the Executive Residency actually has ramped up very nicely, too. We have almost 30 contracts signed.
What?
And next year, we're probably looking at opening at least a dozen.
Wow. Well, that's really exciting news for you. Now, I kind of see the Glow and the Vibe brands kind of being almost opposite sides of the same coin, where one is geared more towards the urban environments and the Glow is geared more towards the smaller towns, being that you opened up in you had the groundbreaking in Goshen, Indiana, and Sheboygan Falls. Am I right about that, or am I
Correct,
just
absolutely.
crazy?
The Vibe launch received such great acclaim, and there were a lot of developers that came to us and say, is this the right product for us if we are looking at secondary or suburban market? And so we decided that, the design of Vibe is really for city center urban locations. It relies on a lot of street traffic to create that excitement. So we need to create another product that's going to be appealing in these secondary markets. So that's why we created Glow.
Excellent. I love it. But now, where do you get all those cool gold shovels when you do these with these groundbreakings? That's what that's really the news I got to get to right here. I love that. I got to get one. I bet you it's cool that you could save it for, put it on your wall. And if you have a major freak snowstorm down there in Phoenix, you could pull it right off.
We'll run out of space in my office then.
Yeah.
There's so many.
Yes, I love it. Yeah, it's really exciting to see what you're doing. You've got your annual conference coming up in a few weeks, and I'm going to be fortunate enough to be attending that event. And I look forward to sharing some of the stories with my listening audience after that event. Now, what else are you thinking about these days, or are you just really caught up thinking about how to get these brands off their feet and get everyone to hear about the SureStay hotels?
Oh, we are really blessed with a tremendous team at Best Western. Everyone is working really hard to make sure we reap all the benefits that we had envisioned for all these brands, especially now that we're launching SureStay. There's going to be a period of time when we're going to be very focused on making sure that we launch it correctly, not just in recruiting the number of hotels that join, but also providing them with all the support and resources to enable them to be as successful as can be. For SureStay, we want at least the first few hundred hotels to be so successful that they're going to be our strong advocates, so we can really build up a strong brand. But even now, we are already thinking about what is the next year going to be like. Should we be working on iterations of SureStay? For example, I think the economy segment, extended stay, provides a wonderful opportunity. You look at some of these brands that are out there, new construction brand, extended stay type of brands, they're immensely successful because there's a huge demand for something like that extended stay product that enables the operator to be very cost efficient in how they run that hotel. So you think about the minimum wage increases, the life wage discussions, and the overtime exemption discussions, and it going up, overtime exemption going up to $45,000, and so on and so forth. It's really important to look at how can we help hotel operators save money on labor. How can we avoid having to staff the hotel with as many people? So any kind of a model that can streamline what we do at the front desk or housekeeping or other areas is tremendously beneficial. So we are really thinking about the next SureStay brand, which will be an extended stay brand and will be a new construction brand.
Wow. So breaking news here on the No Vacancy podcast. I love hearing that, sir, because this is really interesting to me, this whole economy segment. I kind of feel like the hotel industry kind of forgot about it for a while, kind of dismissed it. But in the last few years, I've seen some of your competitors really able to introduce good quality looking products that really is at an affordable price for owners. So I could totally see why this would be a great idea to get into that particular market, especially if you could come up with some sort of new construction type of prototype.
Right. You look at the brands that are winning the J.D. Power coveted awards. These are, especially in the economy segment, they are new construction brands. So you can see that when you have a new construction, you just make that brand so much more appealing. That's why we're very keen on pursuing this extended stay new construction model.
And you're having a lot of fortune with brand new construction, Best Western hotels as well. What percent of Best Western hotels entering the Best Western family these days are of new construction?
We've made the Best Western Plus brand a new construction brand. So for that brand, just about all the new applications are new construction. So
that's news to me.
Yeah. So Best Western Plus is about 40% of our portfolio. So, you can just kind of project that, about 40% of new construction. But for Best Western brand itself, the core Best Western brand, we also have a fair number of new construction in that brand as well. So, in total, I would estimate among all the brands, we have about 60% that's new construction.
Wow. That's pretty impressive numbers. But the other thing I love is your Chief Marketing Officer, Dorothy Dowling, has really done a great job at making sure the Best Western name, although it's kind of a household name we all grew up with, just constantly there for the next generation. I love the partnerships that I've seen with Disney films, usually tied into a summer promotion. And in the spring, I love what you're doing with Major League Baseball for spring training. All really interesting and different, and a great way to leverage your brand name with other company brand names.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. And in fact, we're so lucky to have Dorothy Dowling as our Chief Marketing Officer. She's really ahead of the curve in many, many areas. So aside from all the things that you mentioned, which really help position our brand, we are now evolving our thinking on how advertising should be done in the future. It's not just about TV. It's not just about search engine marketing and advertising in that space. It's not about just working with the major travel intermediaries and advertising through their channels. It's also about creating content and allowing viewers to look at the brand differently. For example, through videos on YouTube and the like to help position the brand.
Great. Now, I would encourage everybody to visit youmustbetrippin.com, which really gets to the center of this content issue that we're talking about. Great information for the consumer travelers out there to learn all about not just Best Western, but great travel tips. You even have folks like Teresa Strasser as great mom traveler. So I love the different point of views that you have on there, and it's all fun and interesting stuff. Anything else I need to know about what's happening at Best Western Hotels and Resorts these days?
Well, we're celebrating our 70th birthday.
That's right.
You look at our 70-year history and you think back, so many brands have come and gone in the last 70 years, but hey, Best Western is still doing very, very well. We are a global powerhouse brand. We are 4,000 some hotels strong in 100 countries. So, we are a 70-year-old brand, but we are hitting our best days, and I think our best days are still ahead of us.
That's really terrific, and they will be, because I know you're going to be around with the Best Western brand for years to come. So, I think it's great. I love working with you. I love seeing what you folks are up to every day, and I got to tell you, every year around this time, you have another exciting surprise for me to write about and talk about it. So thank you for making my job so easy.
Okay, thank you very much, man.
Thank you, sir. I really appreciate your time, and I want to thank everybody for listening, and we'll be back.
Thanks so much for listening to No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast, with your host, Glenn Hausman, online at rouse.media, on Twitter at TravelingGlenn, and on Facebook.com/Glenn.Hausman. We'll catch you next time.